Hey Liam, let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed that many English learners feel confident studying at home, but the moment they walk into a coffee shop, a restaurant, or a grocery store, they suddenly forget everything?
It's incredibly common, Emma. And it happens because studying English and actually using English are two completely different skills. Most learners know the vocabulary, but they haven't practiced real-world interactions.
That makes so much sense. It's one thing to recognize words in a textbook, but it's a completely different game when someone asks you a question face to face.
Exactly. You freeze because of the pressure. But make sure to stay until the end because I'm going to share a final, simple habit that takes almost no time but will completely change how you remember English when you're out in public.
Now you've definitely made me curious, because remembering expressions at the right moment is exactly what people struggle with. So, let's dive in. Let's imagine we're spending the day around town. Where should we stop first?
There's no better place to begin than a coffee shop. It's usually the very first place where learners have a real-life conversation.
True, but even just ordering a coffee can feel surprisingly intimidating when you're put on the spot.
You're definitely not alone. Most learners overthink it and rehearse massive, complicated sentences in their heads before they even reach the counter.
Right. They're standing in line thinking, I just hope I don't mess this up. So what actually happens when you walk in?
The person behind the counter will usually smile and ask something like, "What can I get started for you today?" Or, "What can I get for you?"
If they ask that, what is the easiest, most natural way to respond?
Keep it simple. Just say, "Can I get a medium latte, please?" Or, "I'll have a cappuccino, please." Both sound perfect.
I notice those are much shorter than the sentences learners try to build.
Because native speakers don't try to sound impressive when ordering coffee. They just want to communicate clearly and keep the line moving.
That's a relief to hear. After we order, what else might they ask?
They'll usually wrap it up by asking, "Is that everything for today?" And your response can be just as simple. If you're finished, you can just say, "That's all, thank you."
That sounds so easy to remember.
It is. And that's exactly why these expressions become completely automatic over time.
Let's leave the coffee shop and imagine we're meeting some friends for lunch. Restaurants are another place where learners tend to get nervous. What's one of the first questions a server might throw at you?
A very common one is, "Are you ready to order?" Or, "Can I take your order?"
I think many learners immediately freeze up and start translating every single word in their heads.
They do. But after hearing it just a few times, your brain begins to recognize the pattern instantly. If you're still deciding, a very natural response would be, "Could we have a few more minutes, please?"
That sounds polite without being overly formal.
Exactly. And native speakers use expressions like that every day.
What if I am ready to order?
Then you can simply say, "I'd like the grilled chicken, please." Or, "I'll have the pasta."
I notice native speakers say, I'll have, all the time.
It's easily one of the most common restaurant expressions you'll ever hear.
So it's probably much more useful than trying to invent a completely new sentence from scratch.
Absolutely. Learning a complete chunk like "I'll have" means all the guesswork is taken away.
After we've finished eating, what's the next step?
The server will usually come back and ask, "Can I get you anything else?" Or, "How was everything?"
And if we're done and just want the bill?
You could simply say, "No thank you, we're all set."
Oh, I hear that expression, we're all set, quite often in movies.
Because it's extremely common in everyday English. It just means you don't need anything else.
I already feel much more confident. I have a feeling that's going to become even clearer as we visit more places around town.
It definitely will, because next, we're going shopping, and you'll see that the exact same rule applies there too.
I'm ready. Where are we heading next?
Let's imagine we're walking into a clothing store. Shopping is another classic situation where learners understand the vocabulary, but they don't always know how to keep the conversation flowing naturally.
That's true, because shopping interactions usually happen very quickly. What's one of the first things an employee might say the second I walk through the door?
A very common greeting is, "Hi there, can I help you find anything today?" Or, "Are you looking for anything in particular?"
I think many people just want to browse without pressure. What would a native speaker say if they just wanted to look around?
Keep it short and polite. "I'm just looking, thanks." Or, "Just browsing, thank you."
I hear "I'm just looking" all the time in movies and TV shows.
Because it's a staple. It immediately tells the employee that you're good on your own without sounding rude at all.
What if I actually do need help finding something?
Then you use a simple formula. "Yes, please. I'm looking for a backpack." Or, "I'm looking for a jacket."
That seems much easier than trying to explain a massive backstory or go into crazy detail.
Exactly. Native speakers keep these interactions incredibly direct because the goal is just to solve a problem, not to show off vocabulary.
I think that's becoming the absolute biggest takeaway from today's video.
I agree. Learners almost always expect everyday English to be way more complicated than it actually is in the real world.
After shopping, let's imagine we're walking through the city and suddenly realize we're completely lost. Now, asking for directions, that can feel genuinely intimidating.
It definitely can, especially if you're navigating a new city for the first time.
What's the best way to open that conversation without sounding awkward?
Keep it polite and direct. Just say, "Excuse me, could you tell me how to get to the train station?" Or, "Excuse me, do you know where the nearest pharmacy is?"
That sounds friendly but gets straight to the point.
Exactly. When people are on the street, they appreciate you getting right to the point.
Once I ask, what kind of phrases should I be listening for?
You'll usually hear very simple, rapid-fire directions. "Go straight," "Turn left at the light," or "It's just around the corner."
Those are the kinds of basic expressions we see in textbooks, but we actually need to practice hearing them at real-world speed so they become automatic.
I couldn't agree more. You'll hear those exact phrases everywhere, not just when you're lost.
Okay, let's say we get those directions, but on the way, I suddenly develop a massive headache and need to pop into that pharmacy.
This is a classic situation people rarely practice, even though it's incredibly useful.
What's the simplest way to ask for exactly what I need?
Don't overthink the medical terms. Just say, "Do you have something for a headache?" Or, "Where can I find the pain relievers?"
That sounds so much easier than trying to explain my entire medical history to the pharmacist.
Exactly. When you're unwell or in a rush, clear communication beats advanced vocabulary every single time.
I think we learners often put this invisible pressure on ourselves to explain everything perfectly.
That's completely natural, but in reality, simple English is more than enough to handle almost any everyday situation.
Let's say our next stop is the bank. I imagine many learners stress out about those conversations too.
They do because banks sound formal. But just like everything else we've looked at, the interactions follow very predictable patterns.
What's a solid, practical phrase to have ready?
If you're at the counter, you can just say, "I'd like to deposit some cash," or "I need to withdraw some money."
And what if I just need general assistance with my account?
You could politely say, Could someone help me with a question about my account?
I'm noticing a lot of today's expressions begin with I'd like to or could you.
That's a great observation. Those are what we call plug-and-play patterns. They appear in countless everyday situations.
So instead of memorizing hundreds of complete, rigid sentences, we just learn these flexible frameworks.
Exactly. You learn the pattern, and then you just swap out the last word depending on where you are.
Our day isn't over yet. Let's imagine we need to catch a bus to get across town.
Public transportation is another place where short, fast-paced interactions happen constantly. What's a common question to ask before stepping on board?
One you'll hear all the time is, does this bus go downtown? Or, does this bus stop at the mall? That is incredibly useful. It definitely saves you from getting on the completely wrong route.
Absolutely. And if you're worried about missing your stop, you can tell the driver, "Could you let me know when we get to Main Street?"
I think many learners would feel a massive wave of relief just knowing those two specific expressions.
I agree, because they instantly solve the two biggest anxieties people have when using public transit.
Looking back at our entire day around town, I'm noticing a huge common denominator here.
I'd love to hear it. What's your main takeaway?
None of these situations require advanced or difficult English. They all rely on simple, repetitive expressions that native speakers use every simple day.
That's exactly the realization I hope every learner has after watching this lesson.
I have to admit, I'm still thinking about that special tip you promised at the very beginning of the video. Everything we've covered today is great, but how do we make sure we don't forget it when the pressure is on?
I'm glad you remembered, because we are finally ready for it. And it ties perfectly into what you just said.
So, what is this habit that helps learners remember these expressions right when they need them?
It's simple. Mental rehearsal. Instead of connecting English to your notebook, you need to start connecting it to the physical places you visit.
Could you break down how that actually works?
Of course. The next time you walk into a real coffee shop, even in your own country, don't just stand in line scrolling on your phone. Look at the menu, visualize the barista, and quietly say to yourself, "I'd like a medium latte, please."
So I'm practicing the exact scenario before the high-pressure conversation even happens.
Exactly. When you walk into a clothing store, look at the clerk and silently think, "I'm just looking, thanks." Bypassing the notebook and doing this in the real world trains your brain's muscle memory.
That makes so much sense, because trying to remember expressions later at home from a dry vocabulary list feels almost impossible.
That's because your brain remembers context, not isolated lists.
We made some amazing progress today.
We really did. But before we finish, I'd love to ask everyone watching one final question. Which place around town makes you feel the most nervous when you have to speak English? Is it the coffee shop, the bank, or asking for directions?
Leave your answer down in the comments because we really want to know. And if you enjoyed today's lesson, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more practical English.
Now, if you want another lesson packed with useful everyday English, click on the next video on your screen right now. It's called 5 Minutes a Day Improved My English. In that lesson, you'll discover a simple 5-minute daily routine that will completely transform the way you learn.
We'll see you in the next lesson.
Until then, keep practicing, keep exploring, and keep bringing English into your everyday life.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.